I made the most incredible pillar base in Valheim that became one of my top builds so far. It was time to build an Ashlands base, and I've always wanted to do something with the pillars in the sea. And there we have it, like a dome of death above the waves in the deep of Ashlands. I had tons of fun building this, but man was it a challenge. The stability was the key issue, but I'm really glad I managed to make it work, and how the base turned out. I wanted the inside to be like a cathedral hall, an open core that you can move freely in, and decide exactly what you want to do with the space. I tried to divide everything in sections. Let me know how you would have done it. Hello Valheim stranger, and welcome to another video. As usual, we go through the building procedure and end with a tour. First, you need to dig out the tips from the pillars before you can create the foundations to the base. I selected a spot for the first foundation, and then I made a bridge to the other rock. I was using iron beams in order to handle the stability, and then I made the same procedure for the other one. I continued until all the edges were connected, and then the foundations were placed, and we have set a certain distance between them that we could proceed from. So I started placing arches above each foundation, and afterwards I removed all the iron beams, and it became like this. However, now we need the iron beams again in order to connect them, and also the small ends towards the middle. This follows with the growstone beams. You might be able to remove the iron ones to save material. For last, the middle section was locked, and then the beam structure for growstone was done. Back again with iron poles to make the circular shape. Due to the positioning of the rocks, it was not possible to make a complete circular shape, but I made the best I could out of it. I am relieved that the stability worked so far. Now I could start building. I put the floors out from the iron poles. I'm not sure if I could remove them afterwards. I didn't want to risk trying it. Then I started building the skeleton for the entrance building. I just went with it until it reached the water level somehow. I used the spiral stairs. I wanted the entrance to be as narrow as possible. And there you go. Now comes the annoying part, the floor stacking. It really took a while to do. I started at the bottom of the base. The distance between the layer edges shall increase continuously to somehow make a spherical shape. And then the same applies for the top. These are some phases from the transformation. I was not completely satisfied with the exterior, so I made some adjustments. At each corner I filled out the bigger gaps. Not all of them were needed, so it didn't take that long. I also applied the same for the walls. Finally at the top, and then we are finished. Now the shape became much smoother, and it is much more satisfying to watch. I was really excited to start the internal building part. Are you still here? Then come along for an inside base tour. So here we are at the middle of the base. Really important that the stone portal fits in here, but it did. So if we proceed downstairs we come to the entrance. It is basically the spiral stairs all the way down. And eventually we reach the bottom lobby. And here I created a little drop room. Basically to drop all the loot, so you don't have to go on the spiral each time. Now we continue to the first part of the hallway. First is the workbench with an own little corner, and one exit to the outside. I made a separate room for the forge, and all the upgrades. I really like that the room is built on a level, so you can look down into the middle of the base. And next we are heading to the black forge down the hall. Eventually you come to the entrance, which looks similar to a shop. The room is basically big enough to fit all the upgrades. So how about the defense? Do the traps really work? First of all, you can actually load them from inside, via the windows. I put 2 on the bottom for serpents, and the remaining 2 on the roof, for vultures. I lured a random bird, and it didn't seem to make it. The second part of the hallway is the kitchen area. First we have the 2 brewers, and then I made a little throne up to the cauldron station. I built 2 chimneys that seems to handle the smoke. And I made a small corner for the oven as well. There I put the second exit. And finally, a cozy space to fulfill the needs of a living room. So if we proceed to the third floor, we have 2 different paths. For the first path, we directly come across a throne and a map table. And of course some view downstairs. The first room on this side we walk into is the room for gallery table and all the upgrades. I put this one a little bit on a height. For the second path, we come to the other side. And we walk into this petite room for artisan table and upgrade. It's still very cozy though, but I could have put some more decoration in there. And if we continue, we come to the room for the headquarters. I wanted this room to consist of ashwood. I just thought it would suit better. Kind of small, but I managed to put some beds down. The only room that remains is the attic. I put a separate door to it, and I made it similar to a lobby. It was too narrow to fit a stair. Instead I built a floor to act like a hatch that you can open up. And then you can just close it afterwards, if you're carrying a hammer. At the very last, we have the exit door that leads out to the balconies. Of course for some view, and also for a second path that leads to the attic. Also you want to use it to jump down and come out from your base faster, if you have a ship down below. That was it from this one. I really hope you liked it guys, and feel free to leave a like or a comment of your thoughts. As always, see you in the next one.